in the event that this is the changes and then they nerf throw loop for whatever reason, brother, fucking guy will be cooking. And JP, bro.
Yeah, JP and Guile
will
are
be
gonna be
okay, but JP and Guile will be cooking because they have reversals.
right.
They got that.
So when you do make that decision, it's like
and you have to wake up level 1 too as well. So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, so if that was the case, right? Yeah.
But this though will make you not be lazy. That's why I like this shit, this change. That's what I like. I like active thinking. That's what I fucking love that. I know you've been dying to talk about this because before we started this, you said you had a lot to talk about these changes. So let's talk about these changes, Champ. I know you've been seeing what's happening on Twitter with these changes. Oh my goodness. Where do we start? Do we want to talk about the throw change?
Yeah, so I'm sure everybody has seen it already on Twitter, all these videos that Capcom has released about Elena and CPU fighting each other, whatever. And they've seen they've seen that attacking a grab basically gives you a little bit of drive gauge. I mean, a little bit of like super meter and 1 bar, right, of drive gauge. But then if you do a delay grab, now you count as the defender as well. And now you get the meter as being the aggressor. Did you see that one? Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, like, so the person that is defending gets drive, and then they get a bit of super too, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. Keep that thought in mind. Okay, let's say I grab you and you tech. You're supposed to get the meter, correct?
Right.
Okay. So, but let's go back to the same scenario. Let's say I do a jab, and then I do like a slightly 2-frame extra delay kind of grab. Okay, or like I just do a -3 scenario and I go grab you. Now, and then you tech the grab. The game now will think that I am the defender, even though I was the aggressor, since I was late. So now I try to grab your ass, right? And I got the meter too? Can you imagine how strong throw loops are? If the throw loops are still there. Obviously, we don't know, right? But imagine that. That would be so insane. So the meta would be different then. If that was the case, the meta would be simple, more straightforward. So instead of now it's either jab, it's like jab or delay jab. Nobody teching then. If there is still a throw loop, right? In that sense, right? In a way. Because now also, if you think about it, if there's a reward, let's say just even remove that exploit. Remove that. Okay, let's just say it's straight up. Whoever's a defender gets meter if they tech. Okay. So if that's the new meta, now it's more likely somebody would tech. The probability is higher now, right? It's higher. So now shimmies are more common in general, right? They're gonna get more shimmies in general.
Right.
There's gonna be more attempts of that, right? Like that. Especially, let's say you have low meter, right? I'm just gonna shimmy instead, right? Because you're gonna tech because you want to build meter. For the most part, sure, just mind games. There's layers. I understand that. But then now think about this part. Let's say I do wake up perfect parry, you grab me, I lose a bar, punish counter. Next time I do wake up tech. You grab me, I tech, I get that meter that I lost from wake up perfect parry. Oh shit,
yeah, true.
You understand? So that's also another layer that you add into the defensive, trio, whatever you want to call that, right? So it's like I was thinking about that shit and I was like, wait, so this would be that, and that will be this. So not often. So assume, because like we talked about this 2 weeks ago, that it's impossible to remove the throw loop unless they change every single grab, right?
Right.
Because we have grabs that are +30 on knockdown, right? So how do you change that? It's impossible, right? Even if you add throw protection, for the most part, right? Now it's not gonna be grab. Now it's just gonna be like grab, meaty, then grab. Like, right? Because there's a throw protection, Like, so it's like it's actually impossible to remove throw loop in that sense, unless they have some new creative ideas. Because I even check out the backdash when Elena backdash, it's still the same amount of frames as well. So it's like, okay, so they didn't change the backdash. I saw the damage of the grab, it's still the same. So it's like, okay, so if the only change is rewarding the defender from teching, then that means there's still throw loop, and this is not necessarily a fix or a help to the throw looping problem, or whatever you want to call that problem. It's not a fix at all. It's not. Because if ever, it actually benefits the aggressor even more, because you just do a slight delay grab,
Right.
If they parry, you get a grab. If they're mashing, you're going to block the mash because you did a slight delay grab, If If they take the grab, you're just gonna get the grab. If you take the grab, then you get meter, and then he still focuses in the corner.
Right.
Yeah, so you basically only lose to backdash and jump, basically.
Right. Yeah. So I told you, I said, yo, they're gonna try to fix it in a way nobody's thinking of.
I mean, no, but we thought about it though.
Did we think about meter? We didn't think about meter.
No, not that part. But because that's not a fix.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
that's not a fix though. Like I'm talking, I gave you like some actual true fixes though. The one that would actually sway the math part of it.
Right.
Right. Okay. Then actual like reason, like actually a good solution to the problem. Right. You just increase the recovery frames of the grab by 5 extra frames. It doesn't affect any offense or anything, but it affects somebody from like basically if they backdash the grab, now you get a heavy starter. So if they throw loop you backdash, you get heavy starter, not jab. Right. So that would make somebody think twice to go for throw. See, that fixes the throw loop. Because like now you're gonna like, wait, if I go, I get 12%, but if I'm wrong, I take 32. That's not good math. So you know what? Let's just wait. You know, that's like such an easy fix, and like it's just too good if you do that. Like that would be like, wow, he had the balls to really go for a grab there again. He would have died because you have a heavy starter punish counter if they grab you. You just backdash. I
think if they add like more intensity, like you were, that's basically what it sounds like. If they just make it more intense going for the throw, it's just gonna be a better experience for the players and the spectators. Because right now it throws the strongest fucking option. It beats the strongest defensive tool, right? And there's just very little counterplay. Like, yeah, you jump out the corner, you get cross-cutted. Okay, cool, right? Like, I guess, like, right? But like, there's no real, and then investing the bar is not worth it because depending on the situation, you're gonna be close to burnout. You're not gonna be able to follow up with pressure anyways because most of the fucking DPs in the game, you'd have to drive rush afterwards. You just spent 2 bars, probably took a couple bars worth of damage being in the corner. You're probably gonna be on burnout. So the DP doesn't even make sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, hold on, let me answer the question. Like, that makes shimmies easier. I mean, brother, if somebody whips a grab in front of you and you had the mindset to go for a shimmy, you had 30 frames to do that.
Yeah, it's easy.
To have 35 frames to do that would not make a difference.
Right, yeah, agreed.
Yeah, if you were thinking to shimmy anyways and punish a whiff grab, brother, an extra 5 frames would not make a difference at all in the offense. And then let's look at the Elena stuff, right? So the perfect parry change. So the perfect parry change, right? Where now you have to you need to now pick a direction. So it's either obviously all mids is obviously back and parry, all lows is just down, back and parry. And then I was thinking about this. How much would this affect in general? Like in the normal tap parry scenarios, not like obviously it will affect something for sure. It would make it will make some change, sure. But let's say we're in this situation where you can only press Jamie's 5 MK, to take turn, right? And I'm gonna parry there. Why the fuck would I do down back parry there?
I see what you're saying. It's too obvious, right?
Yeah. It's too obvious, right? I just do back parry. Right. I'm gonna back and parry there in that spot, right? It will just be an easy fix in those spots. Like if I'm gonna do down parry in this scenario, yeah, sure, I'm gonna just do down parry here because the normal that you can hit me here with is only 2 MK anyways. Right. So it's still gonna be down parry. Right. Okay. So now the jump in. Are we crouching when somebody jumps at us, or do we down back then parry? We're still standing, right? We're black and then parry. Right. So how does that make a difference in that sense, right? But I see the other areas that it does affect though. It does make a difference in the other areas. You know what's crazy too, bro? Is like imagine the buttons that have similar recovery but are different different stances, like our mids, whatever, like mid. Yeah. Then it's like, what does it matter? Because you could just OS for the low if you still get perfect parry, but it's without animation, right? You could just OS and then the screen freeze would eat your OS and then you'd be like, oh, you did this instead, right? Yeah, I mean, every time you press the parry button, it will lock into whatever initial direction you're in, right? Anyway, so you can't necessarily always it unless you block something in that first time you press it. You basically absorb something, and then now you can input the second parry. So I guess in that sense, no, I'm not saying to OS a second parry. I'm saying a parry that covers both timings of like, let's say a button is
9 frames. Like, let's say you have a sweep
Oh,
that's
and you had
9.
an 8 frame.
You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying? And you
I
cover
mean, yeah,
that window, and then
we
it's
do
like.
that already, though. We do that already.
But that's what I'm saying. This change, it doesn't make sense, because if that situation, it's not gonna matter, because the fast parry, the no screen freeze, you just input it, and it's nothing's gonna come up because of screen
wrong
freeze.
On that one. We're wrong too. Like,
How?
I thought it was like that. For instance, like this.
Mhm.
So the game, for instance, okay. So in this game, if you get a perfect parry, a slowdown animation, whatever, let's say a jab, right? The game kind of awards you with 5 to 6 frames of extra frames during that. That's why you were able to punish a jab,
right?
Tap parry, for like -7 to -9, depending on the jab, right? Whatever character, how late, how early you get the parry, right? Sure. But if with no perfect parry animation, now those jabs that you parry would just now be -3, -2. Sure, there will be maybe some few scenarios that you'll be -4. But now it will be like that, because now you would lose that extra 5 or 6 frames.
You don't think the value is gonna? You think the value is gonna change because of the freeze frame not being there?
Yes, yeah, because they already showed a clip where Elena went for like a meaty overhead or something, and then obviously the other Elena parried it, got the imperfect parry basically, but no animation, and she tried to press the button. The way they pressed the button was a bit late, but you only got a counter hit, not a punish counter. So basically, you lose the amount of frames. So that's a big deal in a sense. It's less. I promise you, it's gonna be less.
You think so? What if I feel like we're gonna be wrong? I feel like it's gonna be the same shit, bro. If you perfect parry a jab, it's gonna be -5.
I hope that we're wrong, but I'm telling you, that's what it is. Yeah.
Imagine that. That would be crazy. If jabs will be safe.
I don't think it's a 10 frame recovery. It's not true, because if it's a 10 frame recovery, that means like the jabs in general, or like I call this, like, I don't think it's 10 frames. I think you get a bonus 5 or 6 frames. I think whoever said this before, like Capcom or something, they said that you get an additional 5 or 6 frames or something. It's not 10 frames. Like you talk about the fireball. Okay, I'm talking like these scenarios where, because if that's the case, if it's at 10 frames and then you get the parry normal, and then like it doesn't make sense with the math.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say, it doesn't make sense. So an additional 5 to 6 frames to tap parry a jab, for instance, and you being only +8, for instance, on average.
Yeah, it's average.
Makes sense that you got 5 or 6 extra frames from the game, from that full slowdown animation. If you're telling me there's a +10, what the fuck? Is that initially +2? No, it's minus jabs. The jabs are minus, right? So math-wise, it doesn't make sense already. So yeah, that one made more sense. The +5 or +6 extra frames.
Okay, but what if they make it so it's like they somehow mess with the values, so the imperfect parry is still like super advantage to where you can punish counter jabs? You think that would be bad?
I don't think it's gonna be bad. I think that's gone. I do know the meta from that will be nicer though. So let's say I tap parry for, I'm guessing a different situation, but I got a tap parry, imperfect parry from your jabs. Now I'm +2, +3. Now I'm gonna use that situation to neutral jump shimmy your ass.
Right.
Right. Or gonna use that situation to create offense instead. So it will be more faster decision or faster recognition of what kind of parry you got.
I'm so for that. I love shit like exciting. That. Yeah, I love stuff like that, bro. Because that's
super exciting.
That's stuff you can't teach. That's all drilled through instincts and experience. And that's my favorite part of the game.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that.
That's like Capcom. More player expression, in my opinion, is to see somebody pull some shit like that. You're like, like imagine doing that and backdash shimmying a throw, like a delay tech or something. You know what I'm saying? Like
corner. You know what I mean? That would be, ooh boy, that's just.
Especially, man, this could. I know some people like at first glance are like, man, these changes are fucking underwhelming, but it's like you said, man, you change one thing, it changes an entire ecosystem of decisions.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, so, and we still don't know what they changed with the grab,
right?
Because they're only showing Elena. Because Elena not having a throw loop is, I mean, it's weird, but it also sort of makes sense because Chun-Li doesn't have it in a way, right? Chun-Li doesn't have it, so like. It's not like she's the only one, obviously Honda too, but like I'm saying, like, so now the throw loop, we don't know exactly what happens in that one. We don't know. We have no idea. And we also don't know what are the changes that they have added also to specific characters, right? Because that also matters a lot, you know. Like also we don't know the meter gain for the most part. Maybe Elena has a faster one, who knows? But like I say, we don't know the changes down to specifics, right? Because if they nerf meter gain by 10% or something, right, that's like a nerf on damage across the board as well in general, because you have less you have like more time it takes for you to actually gain access to your damaging option, right? So yeah, so we still don't know what's going to happen in those things. But in the event that this is the changes and then they nerf Throlu for whatever reason, brother, fucking God will be cooking. And JP, bro.
Yeah, JP and Guile
will be okay, but JP and Guile will be cooking because they have reversals.
Right.
They got that.
So when you do make that decision, it's like
and you have to wake up level 1 too as well. So that's a fucking big deal.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, so if that was the case, right? Yeah. But the pressure in the corner though, when you're getting oppressed, you're doing like 2MK and not canceling and just poking them, and you're containing somebody in the corner, right? And then all of a sudden you're not afraid to might randomly get perfect parried, you know, tap parry in that sense. So you're conditioning them to do a lot of lows, and then you went for like a mid, and then they try to parry there, and they don't get a perfect parry. You know, that's a pretty cool scenario because you actually conditioned that in a way.
I think grapplers will get buffed too from that, because a large part of the grapplers struggling in this game is bad defense, right? And so if you force people to take these risky maneuvers to try to impose offense, but then there's the risk of, you know, running into like a command grab or some sort of, you know, fucked up situation. I think that they'll benefit a lot from it too.
Imagine that, bro. I wake up perfect parry on first knockdown. I was wrong. You took my meter. Second one, you think I'm gonna behave. I wake up, grab next time. You grab me, I take it. I gain my meter back. Like that would be so crazy, right? In that sense, you know? And that's super valid. It's just like, damn, that's so scrubby. It was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, so now you can also add that situation, and it's part of your decision making. Sure, it's not going to be your main decision making, but it's something that you would then add to your choices down the road, right? If you have to make a read or whatever, you know, if need be. It's pretty cool. It's very refreshing to see, or maybe like even think about that these potential changes, because it will actually shake up the meta. Hopefully.
I feel like it's gonna be more engaging, like to play and to watch, like especially watching, because I find I'm more interested. I don't know about you, but just in the neutral. But then when it gets to the corner, I kind of just like mentally check out when I watch the game. In the neutral, it's way more interesting to me. The corner game, I don't really care for the game, to be honest. As a spectator, part of the game, yeah. But it's just
as a spectator.
Yeah, as a spectator, I'm saying, right? Like, of course, as I'm playing it, it's intense, so I am engaged. Yeah. But I'm saying, like, when I'm watching it, I just get like, you know. The neutral is like beautiful to me.
I appreciate it still, at least for me. Okay, like, because I would just pay attention to what are the choices this player did to get out of the corner, or to keep the pressure, or to contain the person in the corner. Like, there's still a lot of choices that you could also appreciate from the pro.
Sometimes it's just guessing, bro. That shit is whack, you know. And this though will make you not be lazy. That's why I like this shit. This change. That's what I like. I like active thinking. That's what I fucking love. That, you know. So like when I see somebody make a decision, it's like, oh man, you had to factor in all of these things. It wasn't just mindlessly throw and no, it's like, yo, you threw with the risk of getting this dude out of yo. That's the thing too, bro. Ryan, bro, if you're in burnout and you tech, you get your bar back. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we don't know that.
There's no way they don't do that. There's no way.
But we don't know that.
There's no way. It makes sense
though, logic wise, since you're gaining bar when you are not burnt out, right? You're gaining a bar. Does that translate into like you getting your bar faster or your meter faster when you're burnout?
There's no way they don't do that.
Yes, it makes sense logically, but like
Jamie does it, because Jamie's super. He does it. He gains it back in burnout.
Yeah, Jamie can just drink and you get a meter for sure, but that's unique for the character. I'm talking like the game mechanic at all, like for instance, right? But you don't know. But sure, that makes sense what you're saying, though. Logically speaking, that makes sense, right? But we just don't know. We don't have enough information because Capcom likes to release the patch, then the patch notes. Backwards. It should be patch notes first, and then release the patch at said time, right? That's how it works in other games. But Capcom does it backwards.
Ass backwards.
Yeah, it's like, how the fuck do you release the patch and then release the patch notes 2 hours later, and now everybody now have to data mine once we download the patch?
Yeah.
What the fuck? That is so stupid.
Yeah, especially because like the maintenance is gonna be down, right? And then everybody's gonna be like gaslighting, like, oh
Hey,
man,
Space Boy, what's up, man?
yo, like there's gonna be so much gaslighting going on, bro. Like, oh my god, I remember one time motherfuckers were like, oh my god, Dawson can combo jab into EX Flame. I was like, oh, that's a pretty sick change. That motherfucker can't do that, bro.
Yeah, cannot.
I'm like, how do you even like? What the fuck possesses you to say some shit like this and just piss me off?